If I did have to conclude at this point, let's just move our screens around so that we can write this up. If I did have to conclude, we can do it for our ANOVA, and you should. We're going to do it a little bit differently to last week. So last week I was talking about real-world and statistical conclusions. I want to show you a way of writing that up that's actually really, really common in papers. So I'm still going to put all the same information in, I'm just going to regurgitate it and move it around in a different way. So what I could say is one-way ANOVA results suggest, not one-way, sorry, what am I talking about? Two-way. Two-way ANOVA results of gender, alcohol consumption, and their interaction. Let me just move this over a little bit more for you. Revealed that there was a significant, let's go significant main effect, just to be complete, of alcohol consumption. And then what I would do is go F, and then in brackets 0.05, because that's my p-value cutoff, that's how I'm defining significance. And then my degrees of freedom, I go degrees of freedom between, degrees of freedom within. So degrees of freedom for my IV, and then degrees of freedom for the residual. So F, on a cutoff of 0.05 on 2 and 42 degrees of freedom, equals 20.07. P is less than 0.0005. And I say less than 0.0005 because 0.00049 will round to 0. So we don't actually know if it's 0. Further, there is evidence of an interaction between gender and alcohol consumption. And again, I would then write F of 0.05 on 2 and 42 degrees of freedom. Now the only reason why I've still got 2 here is because my degrees of freedom for my interaction is 2 as well. If it was 4, I'd write 4. 11.91. My P equals 0.0001. There was no evidence of a main effect of gender. And then again, F of 0.05, 1 and 42 equals 2.03. P equals 0.1614. And then I could say, therefore, second stage analyses are justified on the interaction or something like that, to justify going forward and examining just the interaction. So if you take my notes that I gave you last week on conclusion, so the real world conclusion, the chance of obtaining an F of 20.07 on 2 and 42 degrees of freedom if the null hypothesis was true is 0.05% or less than 0.05%. And this is lower than our definition of sufficiently unlikely, 0.05. That is just a really wordy way of writing that there. So the chance of obtaining an F of 20.07 on 2 and 42 degrees of freedom if the null hypothesis was true, in other words, my p-value is less than 0.05%, or p is less than 0.0005. This is less than our definition of sufficiently unlikely, which is 0.05. So that really wordy explanation I gave you guys for your statistical conclusion is literally the statistical part of this conclusion here. And then the real-world conclusion would have been, therefore, there is a difference in attractiveness ratings across alcohol consumption. There was a significant and main effect of alcohol consumption. So what I gave you last week is a really detailed explanation as to how to write up conclusions. But in a research paper, you would see that condensed down to a form like this. It has all the same information in it, it's just really, really compact. Both are perfectly acceptable. Moving forward in academia, if that's where you want to go, this is the format that you need. But until you get your head around what all this means, those more lavish explanations that I gave you last week are really, really useful. Okay, we're going to end it there today. Next week we will come back and we will start looking at, well, now that we know this interaction's significant, what do we do next?